There's someone who has been talking to you every single day for your entire life. You've never seen them, you've never met them, and somehow you trust almost everything they say. Why? Think about what happened today. You probably heard things like, "This is going to be awkward. They're probably judging you. I'll do it tomorrow." Don't say that. You should have said something else. You never asked for those sentences. They just appeared, almost like someone else started talking before you had the chance. Here's something strange. That voice has been wrong thousands of times. It told you people hated you. They didn't. It told you you would fail. You didn't. It told you something terrible was about to happen. Nothing happened. You've caught it lying again and again and again. So why do you still believe the next sentence? Maybe because it's your voice. That would make sense. You trust it because it's you. Except that explanation falls apart almost immediately. Because if it's you, why do you argue with it? Think about that. How many times have you thought, "No, that's not true. Stop thinking about it. Shut up." Who exactly were you talking to? Maybe it's just another part of your brain. One part speaks, the other listens. Simple. Until you notice something strange. It sounds exactly like you. Not almost, exactly. When you were 6, it sounded 6. When your voice changed, its voice changed too. Now, it sounds exactly like the person you are today. Perfectly, without ever making a mistake. How? And here's the part almost nobody notices. You've never actually heard your own real voice. Not the way everyone else hears it. Every recording surprises you. Do I really sound like that? So if you've never heard your real voice, how did the voice inside your head learn to imitate it perfectly? There's another problem. If that voice really is you, why does it finish your thoughts before you do? Try something. Don't finish this sentence. "Tomorrow, I should." Your brain already did it. You didn't decide to complete the sentence. It simply arrived. Almost like the answer was waiting for you before you even asked the question. How? Or this. Have you ever tried not to think about something? Maybe a mistake, maybe an ex, maybe an embarrassing memory. You tell yourself, "Don't think about it." And somehow, the voice immediately says it anyway. Think about how strange that is. Who ignored the command? You or the voice? Maybe that's because thoughts are automatic. Maybe your brain simply generates ideas and your consciousness watches them appear. That sounds reasonable until something strange happens, because you don't just hear the voice. Sometimes you interrupt it. "No, that's stupid. That's not true. Stop." So if thoughts appear automatically, who answered them? Now the picture gets weird. One part speaks, another part argues, a third part decides which one to believe. How many people are inside one head? Here's something even stranger. That voice has never had to introduce itself. It never says, "Hi, it's me." It never proves who it is. It never earns your trust. The very first time you can remember hearing it, you already believed it. Why? Imagine someone walked into your house tomorrow, started making predictions, giving advice, warning you about people, telling you what everyone secretly thinks. You wouldn't trust them for 5 minutes. You'd want evidence. You'd ask questions. But this voice has been making predictions your entire life, and you almost never ask, "Why should I believe you?" You simply listen. And maybe that's the strangest part, because when you actually check, it's wrong all the time. They're definitely judging you. They weren't. "This is going to be a disaster." It wasn't. "You'll never get over this." You did. Everyone remembers that embarrassing thing you said. They probably forgot before dinner. So why does the next sentence still sound believable? Maybe you've been asking the wrong question. Not, "Who is talking?" but, "Why does the first voice get trusted?" Because notice something. You don't choose the first thought. You choose what happens after it. The voice says, "They're laughing at you." A second later, you can disagree. The voice says, "Don't do it." You can do it anyway. The voice says, "You're going to fail." Sometimes you prove it wrong. So why does it always get to speak first? Imagine you're walking through the woods 20,000 years ago. Something moves in the bushes. You have two choices. Assume it's the wind or assume it's a predator. If you're wrong and it's only the wind, you wasted 5 seconds. If you're wrong and it wasn't the wind, you die. Your brain learned something incredibly simple. Being early was more valuable than being right. And that's exactly how the voice behaves. It doesn't wait for evidence. It guesses. Fast. They're angry. Something's wrong. Don't trust him. Leave. Run. Most of those guesses are wrong, but they arrive immediately because waiting used to be dangerous. Think about how often the voice speaks before reality does. You send a message. Before they reply, it already knows what they're thinking. You walk into a room. Before anyone says a word, it already knows they don't like you. Someone doesn't smile. It already knows why. Except it doesn't. It guessed. You've probably caught it doing this hundreds of times, maybe thousands. Someone finally replies and they weren't upset. The interview wasn't a disaster. The conversation went fine. The person wasn't judging you. Reality arrives and quietly proves the voice wrong, again. But something strange happens. The next day, the voice guesses again, with exactly the same confidence. It never says, "I was wrong yesterday." It never becomes more careful. It never apologizes. It simply tells the next story like the last one never happened. And somehow, you believe it, again. Maybe because confidence feels like accuracy. Your brain doesn't experience that voice as a guess. It experiences it as information. Not because it earned that authority, because it speaks before anything else does. The first explanation always feels like the truth. That's why it's so difficult to notice. The voice doesn't force you. It doesn't control you. It simply arrives first and lets the rest of your mind catch up later. By the time logic shows up, the story already feels real. And maybe that's why the most dangerous sentence isn't "the voice is lying." It's "the voice sounds certain." Those aren't the same thing. One is about truth. The other is just timing. The strange thing is, you've probably spent years trying to silence that voice. But maybe that was never the point. Because imagine it disappeared completely. No warnings, no predictions, no stories, just silence. That wouldn't make you wiser. It would make you slower. The voice isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. See patterns before they're there. Guess before it knows. Prepare before reality arrives. For almost all of human history, that was a brilliant strategy. If the bushes moved, assuming the worst kept you alive. Most of the time, the voice was wrong. It didn't matter. You survived anyway. The problem is, your life isn't a forest anymore. It's emails, group chats, job interviews, text messages, conversations, a stranger who didn't smile, a friend who replied 2 hours later. Your brain still treats uncertainty like movement in the bushes. It still wants an answer before one exists. So it invents one. They're upset. You ruined it. Everyone noticed. Don't do it. Stay quiet. Not because it knows, because it refuses to wait. And that's the part almost nobody notices. The voice inside your head doesn't speak after reality. It speaks before it, every single time. Reality comes later. Sometimes, the voice turns out to be right. Most of the time, reality edits the story. But by then, the damage is already done. Because you've already felt the fear, already imagined the rejection, already replayed the conversation, already believed the prediction. Maybe that's why it sounds so convincing. Not because it's smarter than you, not because it knows the future, but because it's always the first one to explain what's happening. And the first explanation has a strange advantage. It feels true long before there's any proof. So tomorrow, the voice will wake up with you. It'll tell you what people meant, what they're thinking, what might happen, what you should be afraid of, just like it always has. And before you even notice, you'll probably believe the first sentence. Not because it's right, not because it's you, but because it got there first.